Hey guys, it's Arash from National Transmission, and today we're going to go over a few of the transmission myths we've heard. Some of these can be really costly if there's something you believe. Let's start with one that we've seen, which is that transmission fluid doesn't need to be changed. Now this one, I'm not sure where the origins are, if it comes from either people don't know that they have transmission fluid or it's just neglected. Also, I've heard this myth come from, if you change it, you get problems. This is a completely untrue statement. Transmission fluid over time will break down. Transmission fluid is designed to lubricate, cool, but it also has detergents and cleaning properties that over time will start to absorb material from inside the transmission. We have normal amount of wear and tear, and that contamination starts to go in the fluid. Fluid starts to lose its cooling and lubricating properties over time. Not changing the fluid could be a very costly mistake. We have heard of lifetime fluids. We'll cover that in another myth because that's a whole other conversation. So what we have here is a demonstration of clean and dirty transmission fluid from a transmission that is serviceable and one that requires repair. The one on the left is a vehicle that came in for just some maintenance and reason why we keep our transmissions maintained. And the one on the right experienced a transmission failure, so you can see burnt fluid and material on the pan. We've been talking a lot about fluid lately. Show you here what we do, how we check the fluid. It's important you know your vehicle too, whether your vehicle is supposed to be running or not. Most vehicles, transmission or engine needs to be running when we check it. Also important whether it's supposed to be in neutral or in park while you check your fluid. Your owner's manual will tell you what it's supposed to be. If your vehicle is one that needs to be in neutral, make sure you've got those wheels blocked off or your emergency brake on. Let's take a look here. Recommend first wipe it down, and then we will dip this guy back in, and then we'll talk about understanding what your dipstick reading is. Okay, so if we flip this over, we've got down here our cold section, up here's our hot section. Our fluid's supposed to be in between this area, right? So we've got our fluid, it's just about a little bit above the cold. This vehicle was running earlier, so that's exactly where we expect it to be. Flushing a transmission will cause damage to your transmission. My belief on where this one originated was that people went out, got their transmission flushed, potentially after a problem or symptoms started to arise or in and around the time. And here we are, we've got transmission symptoms. I mean, it seems like a totally plausible thing to say is, I went and got my transmission serviced, got it flushed, and now I have problems. I think the things that are often neglected is, what was the mileage of this vehicle? What was the service condition? How did the fluid look like that came out of the transmission? I've never seen a transmission flush cause a problem that wasn't an already underlying issue. So what we find is material will get washed from one section of the transmission to the other. That thick fluid gets replaced with new, fresh, clean fluid. The viscosity changes. We could get pressure leaks. We could get different shift symptoms. Doesn't mean it caused the problem. It just brought underlying problems to the surface. Okay, we're going to be talking about maintenance schedules here, and each vehicle has its unique maintenance schedule. There is no set interval for every vehicle. So it's important you know what your vehicle calls for from a manufacturer standpoint. What we have here is a 2018 F-150. We're using a system called Shopkey, and it breaks it down by service intervals. Now, if we go to 240,000 kilometers, it's based on this system. It tells us this is when the transmission service is due. Now, in our opinion, this is a little bit long for an F-150 with a 10-speed, with all the problems we're seeing and with them. But this is what the manufacturer is recommending. So this one ties to, I think, one of the other myths we had talked about, which was that your transmission fluid doesn't need to be changed. Now, in newer vehicles, we're seeing the use of lifetime fluids as a more common place. What does lifetime even mean? And I think that this needs to be cleared up because the manufacturer has a different definition for what the lifetime is than what the owner does. And it's important we know that. There is no such thing as a fluid that doesn't break down. Even lifetime fluids do break down over time. What manufacturers are doing, they're deeming it lifetime because that's the lifespan or the active life of the transmission that falls under their warranty. One we're commonly seeing is like on a Dodge Ram 8-speed comes with a lifetime fluid. We've taken a lot of these apart. We've worked on a lot of these. Fluid does break down. Now, the service cost can be quite high, and that's why they're giving it the label of lifetime fluid. Get your fluid checked. Okay, so this meth here, if it drives, it's okay. I find this one a little bit confusing because I've had a lot of customers come into our shop and they come in and they say, it's shifting. They'll give me a symptom. It's shifting funny, or it's slipping, and then all of a sudden we start going through the process and they're like, but it's okay. No, there's no problem with it. But you came in through our doors. Just because it drives, it doesn't mean there isn't something going on. The earlier we catch problems, generally, we're able to save more money. You don't want to be the guy or the lady coming in on a hook, because that's when you've cost yourself a lot of money. Okay, so this one was brought to my attention. I actually didn't even know this myth existed, but we'll talk about it anyways. People shifting their vehicles into neutral when at a stop. Now, my assumption is we're talking about automatic transmissions. Shifting an automatic into neutral when it's at a stop makes no difference, because we have a component in a modern automatic transmission called a torque converter. It takes care of all of that. In fact, shifting from neutral to drive at the stop can cause its own type of wear. You get no additional fuel savings by shifting into neutral. Just simply, guys, don't do it. Now, this one I don't know if it's so much of a myth as it is just a recommendation. If you own a manual transmission or you own an automatic, let's talk about downshifting. My stance on this is just don't do it. Brakes are cheaper than clutches. Brakes are cheaper than transmissions. That's what they're there for. Use your brakes, folks. So thanks for tuning in and watching the video. Drop us a like and look forward to seeing you on the next video.